Again, halftime here from Bloomington, Michigan, with a 2-0 edge over the Indiana Hoosiers. Glenn Crooks and Lisa Byington with you. Our first game here on the network. The first of two we'll show you here tonight. Well, we heard from Jen Klein, the Michigan head coach, and I loved her comment about scoring in the first minute, and her team looked at her and said, was that fast enough for you? I mean, they got off to a fantastic start here in this first half.
Well, that's important, too. It's her first Big Ten game as the head coach of this program. She came last spring and started sorting out how they might work their way on the attack, but it showed itself so well in the first half. The first part of the season on conference, a little disjointed, up and down, but what a fantastic start for Michigan.
Well, let's look at the highlights here from the first half. Riley Martin, a big part of it, and there you see it in minute number 1, Michigan struck first.
Inside dribble, Emma Cooper unbalances the defense. Martin to Martin, 1-0.
Got to keep the sisters happy. So it's younger sis Aaliyah Martin with the assist, and it's older sis Riley Martin with the finish. That's her 4th goal of the year. And then in the 23rd minute, off of the corner, they go short corner.
Sarah Stratigakis just all by herself at the top of the box, so it was a decision by the kicker, the taker in the corner, to just play it short and wide to Stratigakis, and what a finish with her left foot.
So Riley Martin with a goal, and Riley Martin also with an assist here in the first half. You see the shot differential, but the shots on goal standing out to you for Indiana.
Yeah, and I think a lot of their takes were really not the best decisions, but it was just trying to get something on frame to force the keeper Nino into some sort of activity, but as you see, didn't happen.
A 2-0 edge here for the Michigan Wolverines. What can Indiana have in store here for a little comeback? They got to do it quickly. The second half here to come in the Big Ten opener on BTN.
Fender biter. Seen it, covered it. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Indiana Hoosier fans taking this one in, hoping that the home team has come back in them here in the second half. This is the first of 2 games we'll show you tonight. Next on BTN, the soccer doubleheader continues. Spartans against the Boilermakers in women's soccer. Of course, that's coming up right here on BTN. You can also watch it streaming live on the Fox Sports app. So a lot of exciting things here to talk about from the non-conference season as we head into Big Ten play. It's a 6-week sprint here in the conference season, but 3 Big Ten teams entering conference play are ranked: Northwestern, Penn State, and Wisconsin. Glenn.
Northwestern, perhaps most impressive, 6 consecutive shutouts, and they feature Brenna Lavera, who has scored all 3 goals in their 1-0 win over Loyola Marymount and the 2-0 victory against Bowling Green.
And we have a lot of young freshmen coming up in that one you see there, Michigan State and Purdue. The Spartans have a good one. Cameron Evans, who's a freshman, and again, Purdue starting 8 of them. 8 of the 11 in their starting 11 are rookies. We have a second half to come. Okay, players are back here on the field warming up, and it's a 2-0 edge at halftime as we bring in the Indiana head coach, Amy Burberry. And, Coach, what are some of the defensive miscues that you need to clean up here in the second half that you saw in the first half?
Yeah, we talked about at halftime. We just got to keep our lines tighter. We've got to get our outside backs to roll up a bit higher, a bit earlier. I thought we solved that a bit towards the end of the half. We made a change, but I think overall, once we win the ball, we've got to make sure we take care of it.
Amy, you've really focused on the attacking side, pushing numbers forward. No shots on target in that first half. What did you address at halftime regarding that?
We talked about our front line, our front 5 are typically very mobile. I thought we were a bit stagnant. We needed to make sure that we check off the center back. We need to make sure we get into the flanks, and we need to do a better job of making sure that our shots, our selection is a little bit better. So I hope to see that we get a little bit of an edge to ourselves and take it 1 goal at a time this half.
Well, thank you for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Again, Indiana with 5 shots, but none of them they're on frame. But this is a Hoosier offense in the non-conference season. Now these are goals per game, assists per game, shots per game. You see their top 2 in those 3 main categories offensively in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and they've done it against some pretty good competition. You think they start off Miami of Ohio and get the win, but it's at the University of Georgia, which is Amy Burberry's alma mater, by the way. Lost to Clemson 4-2, but again, had some good attacking moments there. And then 2 wins on the West Coast against Pepperdine and Loyola, a pair of goals in each of those games, and a good Kentucky team. They routed 5-1. So they know that they can do it. Let's see how they settle in here second half.
This is an Indiana team that spent the first 2 weeks, really, of the winter season since last February on attacking. Last year, Coach Burberry felt like they were an Indiana team that kept hanging into games or staying around or sticking around. They would get 2 to 3 great chances, and that would be it. A lot of close games in the losses from last year here for Indiana, as Michigan opens up here in the second half with a set-piece opportunity. Calcagno floats it up to the top of the 18. And was looking for Aaliyah Martin.
Claudia Day did a nice job just using her body. She read the flight of the ball, knew it was going to travel over both her and the attacking player, and there was no issue there for Indiana. One of the reasons that Coach Burberry believes that this season she'll turn those 1-goal results in their favor is just the pure experience of her squad, and that's that plays a role in those close games, those 1-goal games.
Stratigakis in a battle, and the foul, it'll go Indiana's way. So a nice looking set piece opportunity here for the Hoosiers. And you have Sydney Shepard, who's getting the start in the second half for Michigan.
Well, Megan Scott commits this foul, and that's a silly foul because you have to force Indiana to develop something in the run of play. Don't give them set-piece opportunities. We talked about it. 4 of their last 7 goals have been off of set pieces. So you have to be very careful in that department in this part of the field. So I would term that a silly foul.
Certainly well within the distance here for Annalie Leitner. But again, Sydney Shepard getting the start over Jada Dane here for Michigan. And Dane has been dealing with some injuries. Leitner went for it.
Well, from that distance, you knew that was going to be a direct take. A lot of times from that spot to the left of the keeper and right of the goal is the attacking player. A left-footed player could be more desirable because they can bend into that back post. The keeper is sometimes shading a little bit either directly in the middle or maybe a little towards the front. And it gives you that opportunity to just bend into the back bar and see if you can roof one. But Leitner is their set-piece specialist from that distance.
Nino didn't have to have any saves in the first half for Michigan. A couple of saves for Kopel. And a couple of goals against in the first half. Here's Stratigakis chasing it down. Over to Yeka. I mentioned again that Jada Dane not getting the start in the second half for Michigan. Instead, it will be Sydney Shepard on the back line. The center back position. Here's a takeaway for Indiana. Battling up against the freshman, Janice Joyner. And Jada Dane, remember, had returned from injury, played in the first game of the season in the last game against Central Michigan. She did start in this one as they play it out to Cooper on the right flank. DeVecchi, number 19 for Michigan, the lefty try. And it is off of Kopel, who had trouble handling that one, nearly gave Michigan a corner kick.
Well, DeVecchi had all kinds of time and space here, so instead of closing her down, Justine Lin allowed her to get that service off or shot. Regardless, it skipped in front of the keeper, made it a little bit more difficult. And you can see why else it might have been difficult as she shades her eyes from the sun. And from the Michigan standpoint, if they're going to be left free like that, they need to just rip it on goal, because it's going to be difficult for the keeper here in the next few minutes.
She's played every minute of every game, even last year. We saw her trying to shade her eyes. This is from her perspective. Looking right into the sun. True.
Granted, the DeVecchi shot was off to the left there, where I think the sun might not have played the same kind of role, but it's in her eyes, no question.
Michigan leading here 2-0. They've had some success in this series. Won the last 7 meetings against Indiana.
I would imagine Indiana lost the coin toss because they would have elected to defend the side to the left that we're looking at now, because the sun's not in the keeper's eyes for Michigan.
Mention the success that Michigan has had. Our State Farm State of Success, unbeaten against Indiana since 2009. They lost 1-0 actually in Bloomington on October 26, 2008. But they have not lost a game to the Hoosiers since.
Stratigakis again in the middle of the attack. Tried to work a quick combination with Cooper. Cooper overhit the return ball, but that's what you want your attacking midfielder to do, is play it and then get it back. Give it and get it. Give it and get it, and then create after that. That's part of the Stratigakis game that's so effective.
Here's Jordan. Allison Jordan, again, missed last year because of the injury, but she's typically a 90-minute, 180-minute a game player. Here is Leitner. Turning and facing, taking a chance is Piper. And Maya Piper's first shot.
And that's a decent take. Good build-up, and then a bit of a scramble in front of goal. And you can see Leitner doesn't have great control, and it just fortuitously pops up right into the feet of Piper. And she rips a good hard shot along the deck, but easily handled by Nino.
Her first save, by the way, of the game. Had to get all the way into the second half to this point. Shots all even between Michigan and Indiana. Piper with a shot, Davidson with one, Brown with one, but again, Leitner has done the damage in that category. 4 of the 7 for Indiana now. Martin controlling this time, going to work on the right side. Batting against Claudia Day. And a set piece coming up. Again, that is Riley Martin's specialty. Already with a goal and an assist for Michigan in the first half. But this is what this Indiana defense is dealing with that sun. Those conditions on this side of the field. Martin, the low ball, one touch. And the save there for Kopel.
And it was Riley Martin to her sister, Aaliyah. And then again, you see Kopel. She's like, just keep it out of here, please. And a little touch, and Aaliyah Martin did the right thing. Just trying to redirect. She's just trying to redirect so it stays on frame.
But they've gotten some really good looks off of their set pieces today.
That was a rehearsed one right there. A lot of teams on the defensive side would expect something in the air. There's a little gap where they could play it on the ground. And there was a little screen set up in there, a little pick that freed Martin for the shot.
There's Nikki Hernandez, who has yet to record a shot attempt here tonight. But Hernandez first on the team with 8 goals, 4 assists. Again, the 16 points is tops in the Big Ten coming out of the non-conference season. But Michigan with a 2-0 lead without her recording a shot. Strategakis was looking for Cooper.
What's interesting for Michigan, and this is a nice little bit of flexibility and versatility, is that Strategakis can also play the striker role. She's looked good along the last line when she's drifted there. And if Hernandez needs to maybe drop into the midfield where she might be a little more comfortable at times, that relationship between those two is going to be a really important part. And we've seen it here today. It's more been Riley and Strategakis. But you know that Indiana is so concerned with Hernandez. When she drops into the midfield or checks there, she's bringing players with her. So that helps create space too. So sometimes if you're not on the ball, you're not getting the shots, you're still working hard off the ball, and it's still working against the Indiana defense.
And we got a foul against Michigan. Looks Claudia Day, who's down there for Indiana.
Well, the attacking player's Cooper here, and I'll just say it's an interesting call. It's just a little shoulder to shoulder, and I don't think anything was really there, but so be it.
Played just over 10 minutes in the second half. Both goals scored for Michigan in the first half, one in the first minute, one in the 23rd minute. To Martin. Aaliyah Martin with the nice touch, trying to finish and dropping back. Claudia Day making the save on the goal line.
That's the second save off the line by Day. One in the first half early on, which could have made it 2-0 real early. And then here she is again covering for her keeper. And that's exactly what you do. When the keeper comes off the line like Kopel did here, then you've got to drop in and cover the goal.
Again, Claudia Day, a pickup, a grad transfer from Wake. As you said, making another heads-up play for the second time tonight.
That's automatic. Your keeper's off the line, you drop to the goal line. And Strategakis set that up. How about that little reverse ball through the seam to a run out of the midfield from Aaliyah Martin? I really am impressed in this early portion of the season with Michigan when they get to the final third.
Brown out to Leitner.
Well, a lot of times at this stage of the season, even though there's been 7 non-conference games played, you start from the back and build from there, and sometimes the attacking side takes a little bit longer to develop. But Michigan looks in mid-season form in terms of their attack, and that's really got to please Jen Klein.
Well, again, defensively, too, to hold Indiana to no goals yet. And offense, as we have showed you, scored 16 goals through 7 games, the most that this program has seen in that amount of time since 2013. Michigan on the attack again. Strategakis. Didn't take long for her first-year head coach to notice that she is absolutely special on the ball.
Well, you look on the Indiana side, Lisa, how many times have you called Abby Allen's name?
Hardly ever tonight.
Their leading goal scorer. So give Michigan credit as well for defending in a manner that has limited her opportunities.
And they have actually, in this match, we have seen both top goal scorers for both of these programs taken out of this game. Abby Allen, as you mentioned, for Indiana. We've talked about Hernandez, the top goal scorer in the Big Ten and for Michigan. Very quiet here tonight.
Right, a little bit of a foul.
Chandra Davidson, a junior for Indiana, the one that has a ton of nicknames. She's Shifty, she's Gumby, although that kind of shows our age when you use Gumby as a nickname, doesn't it?
Amy Burberry.
Off of the set piece. Beautiful chance for Indiana.
Nino was uncertain as to whether to come off her line and deal with the ball and Davidson at the same time or just hold back. Ultimately, she made the proper decision as the ball was just looped back in for Davidson. If she could have gotten a piece of that, we could have a 2-1 game.
We saw an example there of Gumby. She just needed a little bit more of a Gumby leg to get that one to go.
Well, when Amy Burberry was an assistant at Auburn, they had a player, Julie King, very good player, who she nicknamed Gumby. I guess she even said she brought a clay figure, with her to training. But said the 18, 19, 20-year-old players don't remember who Gumby is. They kind of look at you awkwardly.
What's that say about you and I when we did talk to Amy Burberry? We knew exactly.
I think it's a loss for the modern kid. Gumby was fantastic.
Gumby was fantastic.
But that's a good sign that Davidson is involved in the attack. Her name has been called a few times as well here for this evening's game. And she's a huge part of their attack.
Here's Hernandez. See what she can do, redirect. They wanted a handball. Michigan wanted a handball with no call.
Well, that was a handball. Let's see it again, but let's see. Yeah. The hand played the ball. It's in the area.
Non-intentional.
Well, listen, we could spend the whole broadcast on handballs. The most inconsistent call in all of sports. Pick a sport. Rugby, cricket. This is, it's tough. And you know what would make it easier? The reason I think that's a handball is because the defending player gained an advantage after she handled the ball. And that's the way you can make this whole thing easier. You handle the ball and you gain an advantage, boom. The referees have too much to worry about anyway. Hey, that's it. That's all I'll say.
You're off your soapbox. That was a handball that would have been in the box, by the way. Would have given a penalty opportunity here for Michigan.
I will say she tried to pull her hand away as it was approaching, but well, I don't know. You can look at it a couple of ways.
A high kick call there on Abby Allen. Emma Cooper. A couple of shot attempts to go along with her teammates Riley Martin and Aaliyah Martin. Between those three players, 6 of the 11 shots for Michigan.
Well, we haven't said much about Cal Gagno, the number 40 right there, right in the middle of your screen, just to the left now for Michigan. But she's really controlled things defensively, in particular, in the center of the park. One of the things we haven't probably mentioned enough is that Indiana's lack of possession, their ability to keep the ball, is one of the reasons why they're not getting, massive attempts.
Aaliyah Martin there with the attempt.
Coble did well, just palmed it down rather than just trying to deal with it and catch it cleanly. Look at what she's looking into.
12-7 shot advantage for Michigan.
And you mentioned, you heard Amy Burberry at halftime talk about shot selection. They do have a slight positive shooting stat here in the second half. They got one on frame. The shot by Piper with a left foot just at the edge of the box. Hit it well, but that's the only shot on goal, so the only save thus far for Nino.
There's Abby Allen. Again, this is the opener of the Big Ten Conference. Michigan and Indiana. Following this one will be Michigan State and Purdue. Everyone wants to get a leg up. It'll be a 6-week sprint to the conference season. Again, the top 8 in Big Ten play make it to the Big Ten tournament, and the top 4 host the quarterfinals. Big Ten championship happening on November 4th, but from now until then, the season will go by awfully quickly. Penn State again picked as the preseason favorite. And Ohio State looking to defend its title. Here's Hernandez. Changing the point. And Indiana now with a counter chance. Michaela Brown has an outside run from Leitner. She decides to keep it herself. And that Michigan back line collapsing.
That's one of the first times we've seen that sort of movement, though, in the final third from Indiana, where Leitner made a hard overlap. Maybe even a little wider. She gets the ball. It spreads out the Michigan defense a little bit. In turn, Brown ended up making it fairly simple on the defensive side.
So the standings look like this, and this is what's interesting. You see your Big Ten preseason poll, you drop your eyes all the way down, and you see Penn State already with 3 losses in non-conference play. You're picked to be the second favorite, Ohio State with 3 losses, and then you got Michigan State that is bumped up. You might expect Northwestern and Wisconsin to be in the top half of the Big Ten. But what stands out to you when you look at that right now early?
Well, a lot of it is strength of schedule. So Penn State, they lost at Wake Forest, and we saw what Wake Forest did to this Michigan team, which looks pretty good here this evening. They beat the Wolverines 4-0. That was at home at Wake Forest. And Penn State did defeat West Virginia, a top 10 team, earlier in the year. So Penn State, if we focus on them for a moment, strength of schedule certainly comes into play, but you're not used to seeing them with 3 losses this early in the year. That's for certain.
Corner kick opportunity for Michigan. Well, Penn State, they lost to Virginia, top 10 team. UCLA, a top 10 team. Erica Dombach's crew was ranked as high as 3rd in week 1 nationally. But they always challenge themselves in non-conference play to prepare them for the Big Ten.
Well, one thing about Erica's teams is that as the season progresses, they're playing their best soccer at the end of the year. So if they can maintain their conference play and get deep into that to prepare for the NCAAs, you'll see that they seem to always be there at the end of the season.
Izzy Rodriguez, one of the top players, played for the U20 United States team, one of the top players for Ohio State, and Lori Walker-Hawk, looking to defend their Big Ten title and won first outright title since 2010. Got it last year. Here's Castro, looking to build on this 2-0 advantage for Michigan. A half-chance opportunity.
So here on the flank, nice little hesitation move. And it's Abby Castro. Look at that. Just a 2-touch move. When you get to the byline, then it's very difficult. You can see the defenders were all facing the cross, and an unbalanced shot, so couldn't get it on target, but well done by Castro. Castro, apparently she's a funny girl, but she takes a comedy class at Michigan.
I saw that.
What?
That's
Why
great.
didn't we have comedy classes? Maybe you did. I did.
At Northwestern, if they did, I didn't take any, and I didn't know about them.
We got the class clowns. You have the comedians in class, but an actual class in comedy. All right.
What a great thing to have in a teammate. Here is Castro. All business here on this move, though. Abby Castro looking to take it end line, slips it to the top of the 6, and again, another great opportunity for Michigan.
And she did the identical stop-and-go 2-touch move on Dreher as she did a moment ago to get to the end line, and once again, a really dangerous service. Actually, it was drifting over. That was not Dreher. So here we go. Back on the pullback, and once again, a little bit behind the attacking player. So you get into the byline, all kinds of things can can take place, as Nemeth was the one that had to cover and defend 1v1.
Just about 20 minutes to play in this one. Shots at the half, by the way. Michigan had the 6-5 advantage. This half, Michigan out shooting Indiana 8-2. We knew this would be a different style of play. Again, Jen Klein in year number 1 for Michigan, taking over after Greg Ryan, and a much different attacking style between the two head coaches. And that was kind of the first thing out of her mouth when she spoke to us, a 4-3-3 shape that they started out in here tonight, but she immediately said we're going to have more of an attacking philosophy versus a possession philosophy last year.
I will say it was always difficult to prepare for Greg Ryan's Michigan teams because you never knew what he was going to come up with. The shape could change from match to match, personnel changes, and you know, that was based in part on his scouting and preparing for the opponent and trying to
and he would
catch the opposite.
it. He would change it within the match even sometimes.
Sure. So I think that's part of it with the Jen Klein is really trying to lock into this shape and really develop it. And one person that's going to help dramatically because 4-3-3 certainly works in favor of the playmaker, and that's Sarah Stratigakis.
Well, some of the big games coming to play tonight for Michigan. Stratigakis with one of the 2 goals for Michigan. Again, Aaliyah Martin, very big and impactful with an assist and 3 shots to lead this team. Her sister Riley with a goal, an assist, and a couple of shots. Nikki Hernandez, the leading scorer, now with 1 recorded shot in this game. Here you have, though, a Jen Klein who's in year number 1, and the last time she was a head coach was back in UNLV. Her first year was 2010, and at that time she was the youngest head coach in women's soccer. And Michigan will look to reset. So Jen Klein is a coach where she's done it before. You talk about the management of a team and a staff, and she understands that it's a process.
Yeah, and she really learned that in her, especially in her 6 years with USC and Kadani McAlpine, and including that national championship a couple of seasons back. And just to watch that program develop each year and get a little better, the personnel right. Not just the personnel, I'll tell you, it's so much about the people. And they got it right.
Heavily involved in the recruiting process there at USC, and involved, of course, with the 2016 national championship. And she was an associate head coach at the time, was the associate head coach for the last 3 years. So this is a little bit of her resume. Never been to Big Ten country in her career. We mentioned the 5 seasons, the final 2 as the head coach, spent some time at Washington State, and of course was involved, as we mentioned, with that national championship with USC. But she has been a West Coast, I like to joke, a West Coast Mountain Standard Time kind of gal.
Well, if you talk to other coaches and people that know her well, a big part of her success is how she manages the players, but also the relationship with the players, getting to know them individually, and then that helps her place them in the proper spot within the system. And she's a bright coach. She understands the tactics very well, and I think that's such a huge part that has been, part of the game as a head coach. You have to manage all different aspects. I want to tell you about something too, Lisa.
Hold that thought, Glenn. Because we're going to talk about Michigan scoring here again back in the first minute. They got a couple of goals here in the first half.
Inside dribble, unbalanced, slip it, and how about that for a finish by Riley Martin from her sister.
A nice set piece too. This time Riley Martin picking up the assist. Sarah Stratigakis getting the goal in the 23rd minute, and that's the scoring that we've seen here And it all coming in the first half. Now give me your thought, Glenn.
Well, I spoke to the coach of Lehigh, the men's coach, Dean Koski, recently. He had done a presentation at the convention, and he polled over 500 coaches, mostly on the collegiate level. What are the top 10 skills necessary to be a good college player and maybe advance beyond? In the top 10, Lisa, only 2 true soccer-related items were on there: soccer IQ and technical.
Turn facing, the keeper comes out. Kopel had a wide open goal.
Well, Kopel came off her line effectively and really did a fantastic job of smothering that. Hawkinson, who's a good attacking player, and collected it well. And by the time she could face up and shoot, it was Kopel doing her job. But in that top 10, the other 8 were intangibles: work ethic, competitiveness, self-drive, character. So these are the things that coaches look for, and these are the things that you get them into your program and the things you manage. It's really important. I think the profile of the player, and these are professional coaches who also polled, and I just think it's a really interesting part of where we're at and how important things are other than the X's and O's.
It's the Jimmy and the Joes, as they like to say. Not always the X's and O's. It's a favorite line by one Jerry DiNardo. Here's the save coming up. Michigan the attack. Hawkinson to turn.
Really good turn, Lisa. I mean, that's effective. And for Kopel to come out and smother that, and then Indiana starts to counter. That's really well done to keep her team in the game. That's huge. These are the moments. There's still enough time for Indiana to get back into this.
.13 and a half to play.
That ball into Hawkinson, too, from Riley Loftman, who we haven't seen much of here tonight, but she gets free on the wing, and just to curl that in with the proper pace. Another impressive final third activity for Michigan.
Which has not been the case here for Indiana, especially this half. A couple of shots in the first 7 minutes, no shots since for the Hoosiers.
Well, Melody Forbes is out on the left wing now for Indiana to try to maybe come up with something different. Also, Grace Gacy in the midfield. See her right in the middle of your screen, the number 8. And she's active. I mean, she's got really good attacking skills, likes to get forward. So can these players provide a spark?
Well, it looks like Michigan getting set to make another substitution. And the Wolverines again tonight playing without Taylor Timko. An everyday starter playing without Brooke Seeley, an everyday starter, both of them injured. Did not play against Central Michigan in the last game. They were injured in the Florida Gulf Coast game. And not playing here tonight. Without those players, though, Michigan's defense filling in the holes, filling in the gaps. And again, finding some offense early. They struck in the first minute.
This is the tough part of the field right here, and you can see it visually, and you've seen the ball when it's played on the deck. It's popping up, and it's a little bit more difficult to handle right there in front of the bench, in front of the Indiana bench in particular.
They got about 6 inches of rain in about 3 days this past weekend. And the condition of the field was a definite concern for Indiana. To the back post. And the save made by Nino.
Davidson going up strong on the header, and this is on frame. It's a good save. Davidson, she's been bright here in the second half, probably the brightest attacking player. There she is, rising above. And good velocity on that header as well. Leads to this corner kick, Lisa. So here's where Indiana is sometimes at their best in set pieces.
Caroline Dreyer for the Hoosiers, sending it in. And the header's made. Quick reaction. The save off the back line. Lots going on there in Michigan. Holding strong.
Riley Martin, I think, was at that post, at the front post, with a great delivery and a good initial save. Yes, Riley Martin heading it off the line after the touch by Nino. And reaction save. Great on the line, and that's discipline to stay on the line in the perfect spot. Michigan preserving the shutout.
Part of the BTN standout presented by Auto Owners Insurance. Some of that Michigan D coming to play. Riley Martin, how about 1 goal, 1 assist, and 1 save?
That's right. Doing it on both ends. And Dreyer, she takes such a good corner. She had an Olympico against Kentucky, direct off the corner, and with the left foot, she can drive it, she can bend it, and that's a quality service that difficult to deal with on the defensive side.
Save was so good. Let's go back and look at it one more time, this time from this perspective. That was the first save there by Nino, and here's the second one.
Well, the second one even more impressive because it's reflexes and reaction and palming it away. She had her perfect druthers. She'd want to parry that over the goal or put it wide of the goal. But that's why you have the players on the post. You know, some programs decide not to defend with players on the post off of corner kicks. There's one reason why you should. I'm not a proponent of not having players on the post, on either post.
Well, Izzy Nino, it's just another great example, too, of how a keeper just has to be ready for any opportunity. Here's a keeper who didn't have to make a save in the first half, and then in a matter of about 5 minutes, had to make some crucial plays.
And this is her first season full-time, didn't play at all last year.
Always has been a Michigan fan. Out of Detroit Country Day. She was actually born at the U of M hospital. Always attended Michigan soccer camps. Always wanted to be a Wolverine.
Wow. Well, there you have it. She was born at the University of Michigan hospital. Well, that was set in stone then. Funny.
So far, a clean sheet. Now 3 saves for Nino. Again, getting the opportunity. If you're wondering where Hillary Beal is, she's getting the opportunity. Beal hurting herself, training with the U20 U.S. team. Indiana has earned another corner kick. Abby Allen doing the job. That's the 5th of the match.
But Siri Yeka had completely slipped and collapsed and fell down as that ball went over her head on the weak side to Abby Allen. And you see how quickly she closed Allen down.
There's another chance. Davison again with another opportunity. Oh, it's Dreyer this time. Caroline Dreyer with the lefty shot.
Well, when that ball gets pushed to her left peg and she's from that distance, she's going to drill it. We've seen her off the corners. Talked about the Olympico. I mean, this kid can shoot from distance with power. And Michigan needs to be aware of that as well, because as this game progresses, Dreyer will try to get into, I would imagine, a more forward and goal-scoring position. That was off the set piece, but here with Indiana down, let's see how they adjust. Will they just put? You can just push out of a 4-3-3. You can just push both your fullbacks up, leave your holding midfielder back with the center backs, and just go at it with numbers. See what happens.
At what point do you make that move? There's already 6 minutes to play here. Down 2 off the hands there of Nino. Oh, a dangerous opportunity. A dangerous situation.
Yeah, Nino with 2 big stops, but this time she misjudges the cross. And for Indiana, Melanie Forbes can't quite get on it. And you see the slight alteration. Skylar Anderson at the back. So dodging the bullet, Michigan. But I think that happens more like at the 10-minute mark as far as adjusting at the very latest.
Well, 5.5 to play. Hoosiers still trailing by a couple.
That's the kind of a tackle you want your holding midfielder, defensive midfielder to make in that portion of the field. To keep it now in the Michigan end, throw in here. And the other thing you think about, do you adjust if you're providing a lot of pressure or putting a lot of pressure on the opponent's goal? And we've seen Indiana over the last 5 minutes or so have good chances. So maybe in that case, you don't make any adjustments.
Dreyer the cross in, the one-timer. There's the goal. Abby Allen, the leading scorer for Indiana, makes it a 1-goal differential. Time is ticking for the Hoosiers.
So her first shot in the game is in the back of the net. A side volley. She's 2-footed. Watch it with the left. Thank you. Wow. Great goal by Abby Allen, who is just having a breakout season in her final year at Indiana, and it's going to be needed.
6th goal of the year. Indiana kept threatening in the last few minutes, and they finally get one. A team high 6th goal of the year for Allen, a senior.
And now you see Michigan, Lisa, just a bit frantic in their possession, and you can kind of see it in their body language. They've tensed up a little bit, rightly so, but these are the moments where you have to remain calm. Still your game.
Michigan looking to clear it. Indiana at the top of the box. These are the kind of games where Indiana couldn't close it out last year. You saw 6 of their 9 losses from 2017 were 1-goal losses. Taking care of the close games is an emphasis for this Indiana coaching staff for this team in 2018.
Could have been a handball close. Skylar Anderson back at the other end in the penalty area as Indiana is really putting the pressure on.
Abby Allen, as you mentioned, the breakout year. Talented with both of her feet. And here is Jada Dane, who did not start in this second half. She did start in this game, but she's been dealing with injuries. This is only her 2nd match back from injury. And Jen Klein wants one of her leaders back in there to try to close things out defensively in the final 3 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move to try to get things settled down. This kid is a leader. She is their vocal leader at the back. And right now, organization at the back is really important. Also, the midfielders in front of her. So a big part of her responsibility here will be just to calm things down.
Here is Dane with pressure coming, applied by Forbes. Well, Dane's certainly not at the fitness level and not 100% yet, so they got to pay attention to her minutes. And running on is Melanie Forbes to tie it, to equalize. Davidson with an opportunity.
Well, the freshman Skylar Anderson, the right back, who came in for DeVecchi, is struggling. And no, she's probably a bit on the nervous side coming into this Big Ten opener. And if there's going to be another maneuver or adjustment, it might be there as well. She's really had a tough time. We
have an injured Indiana player. 2:24 left to play in this match. And injured on that shot attempt. Left side of your screen.
Well, Tabby Allen. So you can see it just the post. She ran in to the post into her midsection. So hopefully she's just got the wind knocked out of her, and I think that's what happened.
She's got a smile. And walking it off.
In the meantime, DeVecchi was at the middle of the field with a fourth official getting set to check back in. I'm sure she'll come in for Anderson.
Tabby Allen, you see, leading the Big Ten with her 28 shot attempts and making good on her only one here tonight.
Well, it knocked her heart rate monitor right off the body. Jeez.
Another corner kick for Indiana. They have led in this category here tonight. Here's Dreyer to take it. To the back post, finds the header. Indiana has equalized this one. A comeback in the final 5 minutes of play.
Well, it looks like Claudia Day, the graduate transfer. Here's the service from Dreyer, right or left bet. She can really put a ball into the area. And we've talked about the 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", that can get themselves into the area and flood the 6-yard box. And one of them is Claudia Day. And for Indiana, unofficially, that's 5 of their last 8 goals, set pieces.
Well, there's still plenty of time to play. Hoosiers aren't done yet. Final 2 minutes. And we have played most of the last 5 to 6 minutes on this attacking third of the field, and Indiana has got another corner kick. The 7th of the match. A 7-3 advantage in that category for the Hoosiers.
Impressive. We've talked about the experience of Indiana, how they would perform, at least their coach hoped, Amy Burberry, that the 1-goal losses last year would turn over. You're getting an indication of that here tonight.
They scored on the last one. Dreyer, a more driven ball. Ten different players with the goal this year. They only had 8 last year. Not only scoring more, but a lot more depth offensively for Indiana. And what a comeback. Coming out to make the save is Nino. She was playing with fire a little bit.
Davidson again. The protagonist of that attack, man. She's in there. She's in the area causing issues. I almost called her Guppy.
That's legal. The chase is on. Here's Piper. And coming on well out of her line. Outside the box. Leitner tried to take a chance.
Well, Michigan all over the place at the back, and now it's the goalkeeper, Izzy Nino, who had no business coming that far off her line to deal with that. Came in late and was very fortunate that the Dreyer shot did not get over the defender because there was an empty net, and that could have ended it in regulation. But we're going to OT.
Little extra soccer. Here in night number 1, Indiana outshot Michigan 5-1 in the last 20 minutes of play and picked up a couple of goals. We're not done yet from Bloomington, Indiana. We will take a quick timeout and rejoin these two teams when we come back. Okay, a little talking to by Michigan's head coach Jen Klein. They gave up a 2-0 advantage. Michigan scored a couple of goals in the first half, and Indiana getting a couple in the final 5 minutes of regulation. So both of these coaches going back to work. We have some overtime soccer to play thanks to the Hoosier comeback. Amy Burberry, her team looking a little bit different, starting with the 86th minute of play.
Well, here's a great flick header from Forbes, a reserve, and look at her excitement as she put it right on to Abby Allen, the leading goal scorer, and that's what you're supposed to do if you're the talisman. Finish. And then here, this kid, graduate transfer from Wake Forest, where she played striker, Claudia Day, so no surprise that she could finish in front of the goal.
What a difference a couple of goals make. 2 goals in the last 5 minutes. 2 goals, I would do better than that. Scored in 2 minutes and 18 seconds for Indiana to equalize this thing. So we are headed to the OT session. Glenn Crooks and Lisa Byington with you, of course, immediately when this one is done. We will have the Michigan State and Purdue match to bring you.
Well, one of the things, I look back at this half, and first of all, you had Sydney Shepard, who came in for Jada Dane. Jada is truly the leader at the back, but she's coming back from injury. And then up 2-0, I'm sure the way Jen Klein thought about it is she wanted to give Skylar Anderson, a freshman, some time, you know, to further her development. Opening Big Ten game, Anderson struggled. Shepard is not the same caliber as Jada Dane. And now Indiana is putting some pressure on. And then a couple of goals in a short period of time. And Abby Allen coming up with a finish, really coming through strong for her team in that moment. And from that point on, they were the best team. This is the first conference match we'll show you on the network, so we want to remind you about the overtime rules. Again, 2 10-minute sudden victory periods. So the next goal wins for either one of these teams if the score remains tied. After both of those 2 10-minute sudden victory periods, the game will end in a draw. Michigan does not have a draw on its record here in 2018. Indiana with a couple. In the Big Ten opener between Michigan and Indiana going to an extra session. And you saw out of the huddle there right in front the 2 new assistant coaches, Sandy Davison and Daniel Brizard, and they're integral in, especially Sandy Davison, in looking closely at the attack for Indiana and assisting Amy Burberry to make it better. And here's another 2-goal game for Indiana. This is going to be an interesting overtime, Lisa.
It will be. I'm excited. Let's see how Michigan can respond to that 5-minute attack at the end of regulation by Indiana. We saw some defensive miscues early in this game by Indiana, and now Michigan is the team that has to shore things up a little bit defensively, but they'll start with a set-piece chance, and Riley Martin, again, will try to figure out what her options are.
Well, you saw Jen Klein in the huddle prior to the start of this first overtime, and there was a little anger there in her delivery.
Looking for her sister, Aaliyah Martin, at the top. Calcagno couldn't get a look. Jada Dane with a chance off the post for Michigan. Cooper had a look at it.
Wow, and it started with Calcagno, who thought she could have just taken the first-time shot, but it worked out well for Michigan, except for the post.
Martin with the chase. Here's the set-piece look.
Riley Martin delivers it so nicely, coming off her line well and trying to punch it clear. Kopel. And here's where all alone at the back door, Cooper, and off the post.
So a free kick and not a corner kick in the first minute and a half of this overtime session. Martin to the top.
It's Melanie Forbes who cleared it, and she was a key reserve second half for Indiana, getting an assist on the first goal to start the rally by Indiana.
Here's Nikki Hernandez. Couple of shots on the night for Hernandez, but that's been it. Big Ten's leading point getter doesn't have a point tonight. Michigan's last win in overtime at Wisconsin last year, September 24th, a 2-1 victory. Indiana's last win in overtime at Illinois 2 years ago, September 18th, a 1-0 victory in that one. Michaela Brown on the left flank.
So Michaela Brown, we are in overtime, and sometimes exhaustion sets into the point where your decisions are less clear, but a second defender arrives. She's going 1 versus 2, no angle to shoot. Just cut back against the grain and get it to a supporting player and keep possession in Michigan's end. But Indiana has her back, Lisa.
Here is Melanie Forbes running on. Leitner, who dominated shot attempts in the first half, just trying to bide some time. And off of Calcagno.
Well, here we go. The 5'9" plus. They'll be at the edge of the 6. See what they can do with this delivery.
A couple of goals and a couple of corner kicks. Caroline Dreyer again, the lefty. That one's out of play.
Yeah, cut it a little too close. You can't do an Olympico from that side. You'd really have to hit one with the outside of the left boot to bend it in there.
On the right of your screen is Michigan State and Purdue. We'll get you out to that match once this one is complete, but right now you can catch it on BTN Plus. And we're in overtime in Bloomington. We'll get the Big Ten opener. And this one going to overtime. Dean Linke, Jackie Manny on the call of the Michigan State-Purdue game. Here is Forbes. Forbes into the box. And the save by Nino.
Janice Joyner coming over to help out, but Forbes again continuing her fine play now in overtime. And look at her get in. Keeps it on the right foot. If she could have swept it over the left, she might have been able to do something against the keeper, Nina.
Halfway through the first 10-minute session, the first overtime. Slips one through to Hernandez. Ball's going to get away a little bit too much. Hernandez couldn't catch up to it. And Copel came out.
And this is why keeper coaches train their keepers to play off their line and observe the play so that they can deal with through balls like that, so you don't have to just rely on your defenders. And that's excellent recognition by Copel to come out and clear it, even though it's a possession deep in Indiana's end. It's just a throw. A long one at that.
Yeah, Dane with a powerful throw in. The flick on. Here's Martin trying to settle. And the ball's out of play. Indiana was going to play on. Abby Allen had a pretty good counter going. Jada Gain again with the throw in for Michigan. Dane playing in the final few minutes of regulation. Up until this year, she had missed just one game really in her career, till the injuries that she's faced at the beginning of this season. Playing it out to Cooper. Nice run on the outside by Yeka. Sarah Yeka. No goals, no assists here in 2018.
That shot was always going to go wide.
A chess match now between these two head coaches, Amy Burberry and Jen Klein. One goal will make the difference here in the first overtime between Indiana and Michigan. Michaela Brown. And an offside call.
One thing for Michigan, Stratigakis has been off the field for a time. We don't know if there's been an injury or if it's a fitness issue, which I doubt. But without her to generate, Michigan definitely has lost some of their rhythm.
And they really lost it in the last 5 minutes of regulation. Abby Allen was calling for it. Leitner, that time feeding Piper. Approaching the final minute of this first overtime.
Emma Cooper, who has been so dangerous as a winger out of this 4-3-3 for Michigan throughout the match, has been playing the last bit of time at fullback on the right side, with Abby Castrol playing in front of her. So Jen Klein trying to solve some of the woes at that, if that's the way she sees it, at that right back spot.
Piper out to Leitner. That's within her distance. She doesn't take the shot. Here's Brown. And a throw in for Indiana. They got a hustle. About 20 seconds left.
Look how deep Riley Martin dropped to defend that.
Final few seconds of this first overtime, and we've got a second overtime to come. 10 more minutes at the most to play between Michigan and Indiana. It's been a story of Michigan striking early in this match and Indiana striking late to equalize it at 2-2. Let's go back and look at how the goals were scored literally in the first minute. Michigan got it.
Well, here's Cooper. I just said she's playing fullback right now. This is her assist off of the right wing, and Riley Martin ends up finishing it from her sister, Aaliyah. And that put the Wolverines up 1-0. And then Sarah Stratigakis, who we talked about is not on the pitch right now in overtime, she finishes the second goal.
And the assist by Riley Martin. So a goal and an assist in the first half. It took to the 86th minute. Indiana was pressing. And then Abby Allen getting her 6th goal of the year to lead this Indiana Hoosier team. But the Hoosiers weren't done.
No, and they've been the better team over the last, I'd say, 10 minutes of regulation and in overtime, and rewarded as Claudia Day takes the Caroline Dreyer corner, heads it home. And it's been well-deserved for the Hoosiers. You look at Michigan, really had the better of it for 3/4 of the match, I would say. And then Indiana, though, they had the drive to come back. They've equalized. And, well, both teams had good opportunities in that half. Remember that Emma Cooper did hit the post when she got to the back frame early in that overtime. And then the best chance probably for Indiana was Melanie Forbes when she got in behind, but then was defended well enough before she could get the shot off.
Well, Annalie Leitner has the most shot attempts for Indiana in this match. And she has gotten loose a couple times, mostly here in the first half, Glenn. But this is how she can do some damage. Of course, this is the Kentucky shot that she took and the goal that she scored, and her head coach described it as an absolute laser from this kind of distance.
Well, we call that a golazo. But you talk about perfection for the outside, and she hit it right on the laces, just perfectly struck. And you notice she didn't overhit it. It was a drive. It was hit with great pace, but it was all about timing and getting through it.
So it's not only how she is scoring, but when she is scoring. You see the 3-game winners. There's an opportunity here for another one, either for Leitner or someone else who wants to take the opportunity. Overtime number 2 between Michigan and Indiana in the Big Ten Conference opener. Again, once this one is complete, we'll get you out to Michigan State and Purdue.
Those 3-game winners by Leitner, that ranks her 5th in the country in game-winning goals. And the other 2 very impressive, or 2 of them very impressive out on the West Coast, Pepperdine and LMU, and 2-1 victories. And so Indiana, it's been very bright lately after what was a dismal start.
So lots of potential goal scorers here for both of these teams. Leitner, of course, one of them.
Well, the things that Amy Burberry told us at halftime on the defensive side, to really lock down things, be more compact, not let Michigan squeeze through them as easily or get wide service off as easily. And Indiana's accomplished that. They've been better.
Well, Michigan outshot Indiana in that first overtime 2-0. Again, the next goal wins it for either one of these teams. Calcagno to Martin. Here's Castro. Had all kinds of space to work with to Riley Martin. What a look, what an opportunity.
Well, Dreher, instead of closing down Castro with pace, she allowed her to get this service off, and that's a no-no. Your first order of business there is to deny service. And Dreher, we know it's an overtime. It's a second overtime, but she's got to close down more quickly.
Back into the hands of Bethany Kopel. What's going through Amy Burberry's mind right about now?
Well, Kopel's kept the team at the badge. He's credited with 9 saves. She's at 8 saves in one game this year, 7 in another. And you said it at the top, Lisa, she leads the Big Ten this season in saves. Led the Big Ten in saves last year. And that's a statistic that sometimes you don't want to be a part of, because it means that you're allowing a lot of shots. But here's Indiana. This is one of their strengths.
It certainly has been tonight. Corner kick set pieces have been an emphasis. Here's another. Dreher to the back post. And the punch out. Nino, a few words with Day.
So Jordan went up strong on the back post, as you'll see. So she was going up and trying to get it on frame, and that was defended well. And then it was, you could see Claudia Day clattered into the keeper, and no harm, but no question a foul.
4 minutes into it in the second overtime. Glenn Crooks, Lisa Byington with you in the Big Ten opener. Here's Leitner to Allen. Already has a goal for Indiana. Allen
and knows she's going to take that shot. She got just enough space to get it off. And it was Sarah Yeka who was defending on the play. But Allen got enough space to get that one on frame. Couldn't quite get her hips around. Got to wrap around it a little bit more.
Again, your reminder, we'll get you out to Michigan State and Purdue. Played about 15 minutes in that match. Still no score between the Spartans and the Boilermakers. Once this one is complete, whether it's a game-winning goal or whether there's 5 minutes to finish in this second overtime, we'll get you out there to West Lafayette.
Well, at least the people watching haven't missed any goals in the other match.
That is correct, and they're not going to miss it if you know, these days you go into BTN
That's
Plus.
right.
You can watch them both at the same time. It's the beauty of 2018. Jen Klein's debut. She's in her first year coaching Michigan, her first year in the Big Ten. And chances are she may show her defense in this Michigan team the last 5 minutes of regulation once this one is complete. Here's Melanie Forbes. The left side for the Hoosiers. Forbes still has it, still battling. And a foul committed.
And she draws the foul on that young lady right there, Emma Cooper. Again, playing fullback. Is it DeVecchi who was not effective, or is she injured? Is that why she's off? And we know that Skylar Anderson went in for a bit and struggled. But Forbes, she's been influential in second half at overtime. All right, Lisa, here we go.
Well, Leitner is there, and so is Dreyer. It'll be Dreyer taking it with the lefty foot. And a distance opportunity well off the mark.
Well, that's why Jada Dane is so important at the back. She was the one off the corner kick that knifed her way in front of Allison Jordan to defend it well. And now again, she gets to the ball first. Huge defensive plays by Jada Dane.
Nice touch by Yeka. Nice ball placement there. Up top to Strategakis.
Strategakis maybe rushing her shot a little bit. Had a long absence from this game, and well-timed run. Good ball down the flank from Yeka.
Nice move by Forbes. Indiana comes all the way back for the game winner. What a Hoosier comeback.
And when we see the replay, Lisa, you're going to see Melanie Forbes do the defender. And what a move to get cleanly into the area. And then a good, hard front post run and the finish to finish off Michigan, who led this match 2-0.
And it is the substitute Melanie Forbes who is the Hoosier hero tonight. Indiana hadn't beaten Michigan since 2008. Was it touched? Was it touched? What a play by Forbes. And then the touch in the finish.
It's Chandra Davidson, and did you see the move she made? A false step to the back post, hard to the front, well-timed. Melanie Forbes and Chandra Davidson. Wow, what a finish, Lisa.
What a finish for night one and game one of the Big Ten Conference season. Indiana coming all the way back, rallying at the end of regulation and winning in double overtime for the first time since 2014. That'll do it for Glenn Cross. I'm Lisa Byington, and that'll do it here from Bloomington, Indiana. We will get you out to more Big Ten soccer Michigan State and Purdue. Dane Linke and Jackie Manny with that call. Indiana victorious 3-2 over Michigan in double OT.